Hello once again. This is Moses. It's been a couple of times since I last put a video here, but I'm back in action. So we're just gonna be looking at React Hook form. It has a new feature. It's not a new feature actually. But it's a great feature if you've been working with many forms. It's something that you really should know or something you really should try out. So a lot of people have actually been trying it and testing it out. It's been there for ages. I think around since 2022, because I got to see this old tweet from React Hook, and it was in July 17, 2022. But it's funny enough, I didn't know about it, and I believe you also don't know about it. But as by the date then it was introduced, so it was like this method will return an individual field state, which is dirty, is touched, error, and invalid. So it was kind of a question out there to the Twitter people, and many people jumped on it and replied and responded, which all begins in the get field state, as we're going to be seeing. I saw also a tweet from my brother this year, actually, coding in Flow, where he literally also him had no idea of he had no idea that detecting unsaved changes in React Hook form is as easy as using the isDirty flag. So isDirty actually resets when the input reverts to the original state. So this is basically an added advantage if you've tried using this in because also it's there in TurnStack, but if you've been using it maybe in TurnStack forms, then you must have experienced some error before, some issues, some bugs before, where isDirty always stays true. But with React hook form, the value resets immediately when the input reverts to original. So I even give an example. For example, if you change ASD to ASD123, the isDirty will go to true, and then it will revert, which means if you want to revert it, if you remove the 123 from ASD, then it will set back this dirty to false. So we're going to be seeing it in action. But if we jump on to the documentation, which I'm going to be linking in the description below, so you're going to be able to see that there's this part on the form state. So the form state basically is the object containing all the information about the entire form state, which it helps you to keep on track with the user interactions with your form. So now then it comes to the interesting part, which we are basically trying to look at, which is called the isDirty, as you can see here. So this isDirty, as you can see, it says it's a boolean. First of all, it's a type boolean. All it's running into this object of the form state. So it's a boolean which sets true after the user modifies any of the inputs. We're gonna see why it's more advantageous, or why it is really worth it for you to be using it in your application. So the importance of it, first of all, they say make sure to provide all inputs in the default values, which is something I believe all of you have been doing in this instance, where in your use form you provide the default values, because it bases on the default values to know either the form is dirty or not. So as they say, make sure all the default is true. So form so they say so that the hook form can have a single source of truth to compare whether the form is really dirty. So they give a simple code snippet, as you can see, which tells us where they can set the value of tests to be true if it's changed to a different text. So then this will simply give you this will tell you that this data is true. Otherwise, if the test is just empty as it was before in the default value, then it will set the isDirty to false. So file types input will need to be managed at the app level due to the ability to cancel file selection and file object. So I'm just going to show you quickly how I did that, or how you can implement. So the form, this form state takes in a lot of objects, as we can see the dirty fields, which you're also going to look at, where this is an object which runs with the user modified field. So it makes sure that to provide all inputs, remember you have to put them in the default value via the use form. So this is also an important one, as you're going to see it in action. And also the touched fields, it can be an object to contain all the inputs the user has interacted with. So these could be the only inputs that the user has interacted with are the inputs. Maybe you're going to be saving something like that, so you can simply actually use the touched fields. I'm just gonna use this in a few as we see. So if I first of all try to show you the use instance where you might want to use this is I have this application I've been working on. So for example, if you see, this is like, for example, an edit page where you can edit profile information, etc, etc. So for example, you want to edit this user. So if I click maybe on the edit and I expect my pop-up to come in, so this now should, as you can see, we can be able to cancel, but we can't save anything since as you can see, we haven't changed anything, but immediately we change from maybe from Jordan to, and we try to remove the Z, you're gonna see this is gonna become active. This usually it's advantageous that it's gonna help you maybe avoid user. For example, this is an update page where a user can try to update things that already things that already he's been with, which is not worth it. The user is just going to be playing with your database with sending huge payloads, stuff like that. So if I just quickly go through the code, just close my terminal in a bit. So for example, we were on the personal information here. So this is normal Next.js application running with React and TypeScript. I'm also using Zods to validate my forms. As you can see, this is trying to validate each input the user will be putting in. So this is basic stuff that I believe you should be knowing. If you don't know how to use Zod actually properly, you can comment down. I'll be happy to make a video about that. So the main interest we are looking at is on our form. So like it was saying, first of all, you have to make sure that the default values have the figures or the value that you really want to be tracking. So for example, on this instance, all our default values are having the user information, which is, for this case, I'm sending in a user object directly to this component, a user from the database, to be able to make updates and all of that. So now the most thing we want to get out of this is we can get our form state object from the form. So I did this with the Zod. So just go ahead and do const form equals to this, and I passed in my schema, my types to validate each input, and passed them through the resolver, the zodResolver, and then was able to do that. So now here we need to get the form state. Remember, the form state is the main object having all these other sub objects in it. So now we got the form state, and now we want to check to get the isDirty field from the form state. So now what basically this means is that we're going to use this isDirty to track and see if there's any input first of all being changed. So if I control find and I go I see down here, you see I used it on this button, the save changes. So where I'm just basically trying to use, either if the form is trying to be submitted and is loading, disable this, and also if this isDirty is false, so disable this. So with this, it makes makes this, for example, if we add back the Z, you're going to see that there's no change. Is dirty is a false, then we won't be able to play or to submit anything. So so that is already a good feature with maybe updating. So like now we can track and avoid that. But now maybe let's say now you want to go ahead and only update what the user has updated. For example, back again on our form, we have a lot of things. We have surname, other name, what. All these actually are actual payload, meaning everything you send is gonna be the payload is going to be heavy for your database. Just imagine 100 users are just coming on the edit page and everybody's editing the name, but you are going to send all this other information, which is actually not necessary. Because first of all, the is that is just helping us to track, has the user updated anything, then we can give them access to update. That's why if now I change to Z, it gives us access that now you can be able to update. So but it's not limiting that you should only update the changed value. No, it's just now giving us access to update everything, since we detect there's an input which has been changed, so you can update, which we still is an added advantage, but it may not do what you exactly want. So that's where we go back to our form state, and now we look, there's this field called isDirty. So they say isDirty is an object with the user modified field. So make sure to provide all these, like again how what we said. So the importance is make sure to provide default values, so who can have a single source of truth to compare. So the dirty fields now will not represent as is dirty form state, because dirty fields are marked fields dirty at field level, rather the entire form. If you want to determine if the entire form state uses is the entire form state use is dirty, so now they are telling you the dirty fields, this now is just gonna give you each field individually that has been changed. So the dirty field object will give you those fields specifically that have been changed. So now we also have the touched fields. So this is an object. Look, there are two, and they may seem to be having the same name or seem to be doing the same, but each are doing different things. So the touched field is actually an object which it is an object containing all the inputs the user has interacted with, all the inputs that the user has interacted with. For example, a user has interacted with a name, you can simply just use this touched fields. If I copy this and we head over to our code, you're going to see that we only got dirty fields, which you're going to see why and where is that. But I can also put these touched fields here. So this is the way you could get, if you'd want to use the touched fields, you could just simply pass it like this, and then as you hover it's still going to show you the all fields that you have. The same applies to the is dirty. For it is just a boolean, but for the dirty fields it will also use the same fields you have. So if I just go ahead and try to console this, actually, if I go ahead and say console maybe .log, and I try to paste in this, let me just do this and I name it touched fields. Just want to see what exactly this is going to be like. So now for the touched fields, we have this useEffect, which I'll talk about in a few, but let's just try to see what this is honestly doing. So if I try to do this and we try to inspect, and we go around to our console, you'll be able to see that so if I click the console one more time, so we'll see the start, everything will be okay. But as you can see, this, if I hover wrong again on our module, so it will give us the touched fields, it will give us the surname, because we are currently touching it. As you can see, it's like selected, but if I remove it, still they will say the user tried to select, or the user tried to touch it. We've not edited it, we've not done anything, but it's saying that we've touched it. So like, this is for it, it will track. For example, if I touch on the other names, you see it's trying to tell you that I've gone onto the other names, and then I've gone to the phone, whereby if I touch the email, still it will say I've touched the email, but in actual sense I've updated nothing. This is just only useful to give you the fields that you have just, I mean, what the user is like, an event listener, which is just trying to follow along the user's interaction to know which field is he on, which. So it's just basically that. It's so if you want to do something with that, then you can go ahead and do something with that. But if you want now something which tells you, which gives you exactly what the user has played along with, what the only user has changed, then that is going to be the if I just remove this, then that is going to be the dirty fields, as you can see. So this dirty fields, the way it works, first of all, let me explain this use effect. The reason why I added this use effect is because I just want to initialize everything at first, before I mean, actually, when the page loads on fast. That's why it's just gonna reset everything to the default, as you can see. So I'm just trying to check if the module is open, the dialog is open. So we're just gonna reset everything to the basics as it should be, like no interactions, to be sure that we are getting to be sure that we're gonna be running the right is dirty fields. But this is just an extra thing. You can put it or not put it, but the main thing now comes in here. Now, for example, when I'm going to submit, I only want to submit the dirty fields. That's why I'm going to use this field dirty fields. Remember, the dirty fields is an object still containing everything you have in your initial data, or your default data. So that's why if you hover it around, you'll see you have your surname, the email, the phone, the other name, the name, the gender, the date of birth, the name, etc., according to your flow. So what I did, first of all, I made an empty uh, an empty uh, an empty an empty object, as you can see. So now this object, I made two of them for a reason, because now me, the way I'm trying to update, anyway, this is just a little bit going to be confusing because I'm updating two different times, two different endpoints at a different time. So let me just go ahead to use one which is updating actually one endpoint at a time. So now this is the same thing we've been doing. So we saw about the use effect. Now we were literally seeing this. So I created an object, an empty object. I just want to get the actual data out of it. So I made this I made these if statements, which are actually now pushing data into this object that I just created. So for example, this is an if statement where I'm just trying to say that if this field has been touched and it's true, then add it in the, push it into this object. Otherwise, just leave it to be as it is. So this is like the if statement, which is trying to run on all this. So just trying to compare and check if these fields are being dirtied. I mean, if the fields have been changed to any point, just add them in this object. Now after getting this object, I just pass it to my data. The way I wanted to send my data was in this kind of object. So you can simply just send this to your database, and that's it. It's going to be having the only data that you have updated. Now let's run a console for us to be sure. So I'll just do console.log for example, and I'll try to log, let's say let me call them dirty fields. So I'll just go ahead and console.log, just log it after all these if statements. So I just added another extra layer just to check if there's nothing, just return don't update. But of course this, we won't see this step happening because already we're having the is dirty working. So I just added it, but you can remove it or something like that. So I'll just go ahead and remove actually this. I'm not gonna remove it. I'm just gonna comment it out for just need to see the console showing the data that have been changed. So if we go back, that was on the employee, which is here. I'll just inspect again. We'll be able to see our terminal. So our terminal is clear. It's clear. So if I go to this and I try to open my module, for example, this is manager at desisap.com. You see this form has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inputs. But if I only change from branch manager to, for example, and I add maybe YouTube, just like that, then I'll be able to what's wrong with this form, and I'll be able to submit. Okay, let's see one more time. Okay, so let's just try to see the save changes here. So we just want to say if is 30 non-true, then cancel. Okay, we have this on a wrong place. This has to be on this. Okay, I'm just gonna get the button from here. If I go here and I just copy this button and I drag it around here, that should work. So if I'm just gonna go back and try to check. Okay, so now we have it, I think, resolved. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say, for example, and I add YouTube. So when I try to save this, look what's gonna happen. You see the only object that we're going to receive is, in our object we're gonna be having only one field. This is super interesting that we are trying to save payload. Now just imagine if somebody changed only the title and you're gonna update 1, 2, 3, 4 fields in the database. That's gonna be costful. Imagine you having 7,000 users on the system all updating their title and they are sending in a payload which is having all these fields. So meaning your site is going to be slow. It even might crash. But if you use this trick, you're going to avoid things like that. You will be only and only sending what the user has updated only, to avoid things like payload issues, because payload is a little bit costful. And also if you're on a paid database plan, you'll be having to pay a lot. But if you avoid this by using just this is dirty, it's gonna be an added advantage for you, and you won't face any of the issues. So it's literally as simple as that. So if you was just trying to fix this, I believe, because also this has issues. So with this information, if you have this information and you want to try out something, yeah, you can go ahead and try out and see how fast even your database will be when you're trying to make uploads and all that. Your database will be this time around super fast, which will be really, really, really cool. So otherwise, You can go ahead and still maybe read more about it and see, you can find something more interesting in the body is disabled, everything like that. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching with me till the end. So if you like the video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, kindly give us a subscription. I'll be happy for that, and I'll be more motivated to do content like this on a daily basis. Thank you so much. Have a blessed time. See you again. Bye.